All right, there we go. All right, so today let's do just a quick uh, flashcard review of the. Well, actually, no, let's actually dive right into forming some of those sentences and things, and then we'll do the flashcard review. So, this is where it comes really difficult right off the bat, where we have that we're able to hear and kind of understand a little bit of what we're hearing, but being able to actually speak it is the rough part. So, this is what we were working on yesterday in our in-person group, is taking a look at just with 3 words how many different sentences we can make with those. So if we have ish katon, we have big man. There's no articles, so there's no demonstratives. It's just big man. Ha ish katon, when we introduce one article at the beginning of ish, it puts.
Cameron,
Uh-huh.
you got Catone as big, but shouldn't it be Gadol?
Yes. And what do we got? So we've got all of those. Switch those all out because I had it first for the woman and then I switched out all the men and I guess I forgot to do these ones. Catone, Gadol,
I love when you do those little tests, Cameron. See if we're paying attention. Good job, Darlene. I didn't even see no, I'd catch that.
Yeah, I was just sitting there going along with it. I probably would have been all the way through it. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's Gadol. So yes, we're introducing our first article, Ha'ish Gadol. So the man is big. If we don't have the double ha there, then the adjective is not also receiving that and is separated by a verb, which is to be, which is. But if we do put a ha in front of both of them, they act like a magnet and they both become the subject of the sentence. So the big man, and then whatever the rest of the sentence would be after that. So has anyone ever diagrammed sentences before in English? It's kind of a foreign concept to most of us, unless you've taken a AP English or something. But I think that just a quick little view of that might be helpful. So let's take a look at how we would diagram sentences really quick. So if I am, how should I put this? So we have a subject and a predicate. And so the predicate can come in lots of different parts. We're just going super simple with this. But we have a subject and a predicate. And the predicate is
Now, what does
often
predicate
separated.
mean?
What was that?
What does predicate mean?
Predicate is the second part of a sentence. It's what happens to or about the subject. And so we have the subject of a sentence and then the verb or also the object. So the predicate encompasses both the verb and the object. Got that one merged just a little bit. It's a lot easier when I can just draw it on paper. But we've got this structure for our English, which we often call SVO, subject, verb, object. When you add the verb and the object together, it becomes the predicate, the thing that happens to or about the subject. English is an SVO language. Luckily for us, Hebrew is as well. But Spanish, for example, is a VSO. And so we would have to diagram it very differently. And other languages vary in that there's some that are OVS, for example. But English and Hebrew both for the most part, the subject goes first, the verb comes next, and the object comes after that. So we would say, man is big. So man is the subject of a sentence. The verb, which is to be, is here, and then big is the object of the subject, which it's kind of tricky. Just knowing that they are separated by a verb, the subject and the object are separated. But we can say, for example, the big man is going, for example. And so the big, the adjective, then gets directly linked to the subject and therefore has to be put over here. And so that's what we're doing with all of our different sentences up here. The ha and the ze really determine where the man is. Is the man a subject, or is he part of is he after the verb? Does he become before or does he come after? Kind of a thing. Does that make somewhat of sense? I know that that's diving into some ugly grammar stuff.
Probably not, but that's okay. Just go on. If the others understand what you're saying, then it's good.
Yeah, so everything that
Because
we're doing is trying to,
those are words I have never been able to understand or retain. I've been writing and writing which word is which, you know.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah, so the predicate is the part of a sentence containing a verb and stating something about the subject. So it's just subject is first and predicate is afterwards. And it always contains a verb and something else.
Tells you what the subject is doing or being or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about the man? We're talking that he is big. But if it's directly related to the subject, that's where a lot of this comes in. We're trying to decide, is the man before the verb or after the verb? So with that, let's get a little bit of practice. Ooh, that turned out big. Just a second. 100%. 90 maybe. Yeah, that works. There. So we've got articles. These are all the different kinds of parts of speech that we can choose from. So we've got ha. We've got our masculine nouns. Ish, par, sus, hamor, keves. We've got our feminine nouns. Isha, para, rez. We've got adjectives. Gadol, katon, gadola, katana. And then we've got demonstratives, which is in English means this. Ze and zot. So I've color coded them so that masculine is blue and feminine is pink, kind of help us out a little. And then these are the verbs that we've got so far. If it's in parentheses, that means it's implied, that it doesn't exist in Hebrew, but we're going to imply that. We're still going to put it in our little sentence builder here. And then we don't have too many objects yet, or at least I don't want to focus on them totally until lesson 2. So I've just got a ... that we'll put over here as an object. So if we put ha over here, ha ish is, and then we could put big. So because, let me put that just right close together. If we put the gadol on the other side of the verb, it can't have the ha with it. But if we do have a ha gadol, the ha has to go on the same side of the verb. It has to come over here. Ha ish hagadol. So this right here, this wouldn't be possible because this one doesn't have a ha. If it's on the same side as the noun and the noun has a ha, everything that's associated with it also has to have a ha. Ha'ish hagadol. But if we say ha'ish gadol without a ha with the gadol has to go on the other side of the verb. Ha'ish gadol, separated by that implied is. Ha'ish gadol means the man is big. Does that make a little bit of sense? Hopefully. Ha'ish gadol. So if we
Cameron, are we gonna be able to have this chart to print out?
if you want to, yeah, I can share it with you.
That would really help me out a lot. I don't know about everybody else, but that would really help me. Thank you.
I took screenshots of these two charts. I don't know if that'd help you.
Well, that would work, actually. I could do
You
that.
can go
Thank you.
Shift Control 4, and then
Uh-huh.
you can take that and just screenshot it. Anyway,
Thank you.
that's what I did.
Mhm.
Okay.
But yeah, I can, let me share this thing in the chat if anybody wants this Google Doc as well. So when you're in the Google Doc, I'm on the third tab over. But yeah, this is something that's really handy to play around with. Yesterday, we were actually playing with like little figurines. So we were putting Ha'ish, Hagadol, and kind of putting them around in places. I'm going to refilm that because in a classroom setting, it's kind of hard to hear and see all of the little moving pieces. I'm going to try to refilm that so that we can have a good video that's basically this spreadsheet, but a little bit more kindergarten style for us to look at. But yeah, if you want this spreadsheet, I find it very helpful to be able to kind of cut and paste and move things around. So now if we wanted to put they in the mix. So if I put they over here on the same side as ish, I have to also put a ha. And so ha'ish hazeh is big. This man is big. But if I wanted to bring gadol over here, I would also have to put a ha in front of it. If the noun has a ha, everything has a ha. And so this one, it all depends, like we want to try to figure out what order they need to go in now. So is it Hagadol, Ha'ish, Hazeh? We do it just opposite of what we would do in English. So if we're reading right to left in English, we would typically say this big man, and it's just reverse in Hebrew. So I'm going to put this. So instead of ish being last and zeh being first, it goes just opposite. Ha'ish, hagadol, hazeh. So when it's on the same side of the verb, it's just opposite to what we would put the order of it in English.
The first is last, the last is first.
Yeah, it's very chaotic.
There you go.
So what if we have a sentence where they does not have the article, but these do have the article? Then they have to go on opposite sides of the verb. So we're going to take these and put them over here. So they, this is the big man. This is the big man. So if you have a mixture of some of the words have ha and some of them not,
Does
they
it need
have
to
to go
cook more?
on separate sides of
Yeah, but I have the other ones are thicker than this one.
So ze ha'ish hagadol. So this means that we're talking about a very specific ish right? Because we're putting the ha in front of it. But if we wanted to talk about a big man, so this is a big man, and this is the big man. So does that somewhat make sense? If you have ha's, they have to go opposite if some of the words do not have ha's on them. And it's all about verb placement, which side of the verb they're going on, and what's the object of the sentence versus the subject of the sentence.
So, so we haven't done a lot of verbs yet.
Yeah.
This one is just implied, but would it be the same case if you inserted some of these other, the halach or
Uh-huh. Yep, exactly.
ba'a, or like you would still, so whatever the verb is, you would structure it this way, like,
Yep, exactly. So we could have something like this. So ha'ish hagadol hazeh, this big man, halach, he left, he went.
uh,
Or we could say that he came. Ha'ish hagadol hazeh ba. Ha'ish hagadol hazeh halach.
so
And-
that would be saying this big man left.
Yep. And then you could say left in the desert, or left, you could make it a longer sentence if you wanted to and have an actual object over here. But yes, this big man, halach, went, left.
Yeah, that's way helpful to be able to like just see it laid out like that.
But can you also use walked instead of went?
Yeah, we just haven't learned the verb for walk yet.
Well, because it said on the, wherever I was reading that.
Oh yeah, it said it
Went,
halach
walked, or something, walked, went.
went or walked.
Uh-huh. It has a slash in between. That's why I thought, now wait a minute. I thought it said walk. Yeah.
Yeah, so for lesson 21 is what you're saying in like the grammar part of it, or
Yeah, grammar, it says that it means walked or went.
oh, okay. So yeah, walked.
So, yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, it says on the 21.1 in the first part.
Oh, I'm on 22, that's why. 21.1. He walked or went. Yeah, so walked would be that.
I did pay attention.
Yeah.
Didn't pay anybody else, but yeah.
Where's my, there we go. So yeah, the big man walked or went.
And there's no like past tense or anything like that. It's just the verb, it's more, it changes.
If it
I
has
totally
been
forgot.
completed or if it hasn't been completed, kind of a thing. Yeah, they are what is that called? Aspects. So
Oh,
either perfect or imperfect, which we'll learn this when we get to 21 and actually do the grammar review.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll learn about those aspects. In most other languages, we have what are called tenses, as in future tense, past tense, etc. But here in Hebrew, we just have two verbal aspects. So there's the perfective aspect, which communicates something has been completed. So it's often in the past. And then the imperfect aspect, something that has not been completed, often in the future. So yeah, that's where we'll kind of get to some of those. So for example, this one is in the perfective aspect. He walked or he went. It has been completed. Yep. So, what if I'm just gonna play around with some of these sentences a little bit here. So if we have is and we have we want to use isha, we want to use katana, and we want to use zot. But only isha and katana have an article in front of them. So how would we construct the sentence here? So we've got two different kinds. This one has articles on it and this one does not. And so they have to go on opposite ends. So zot would go over here. And then we can put ha-isha, ha-katana. Zot, this is,
Not has,
what was that?
it's not hazot.
No, so this one's just zot. This is.
Zot.
If it were to go on the same side as this, we would put hazot.
Mhm.
Yep. And so
Opzet, yeah.
where this one doesn't have a ha, it doesn't have that article attached to it, then it has to go on opposite sides of the verbs. So,
So just putting a ha with the zot puts it clear over there. That's how come that?
so it means that when we put an article in front of zot, it's going, where's the noun that I refer to? I have to be on the same side as the noun.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it.
And so then it attaches over here. So if we had, let's see, I'm still getting used to this spreadsheet and navigating it. Let's say we have sus and katon, and only the sus has a ha. The katon does not have a ha. So where would we construct the sentence? So if one has a ha and the other does not, they have to be on opposite sides of the verb. And so
So
Sus would
this,
go first.
yeah.
Jesus katon. Jesus katon. The horse is small. All right. So with that, where is my classroom study? Just a second. I have like things all over the place. Sorry. I need to be a better teacher. Okay. So let's construct the phrase big man. So not anything else, just big man. Where would we put things?
Just on the right side.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Ish gadol.
So ish
Ish gadol.
gadol, big man. So we don't have any has, so we don't know if it's a specific one or anything. It's just a big man, big man. And then we have an implied is, and then whatever the rest of the sentence is. A big man walked somewhere or went. So we would put a big man walked.
Mm.
Ish gadol halach. All right, so for the next one, let's do the man is big. The man is big. How would we do that?
Ha-ish.
Yep.
Ha-ish ha-gadol.
The man is big. So we have an
Which is gadol.
Ha-ish gadol.
Yeah, the man is, and then gadol can't have the ha in front of it because it's on the other side of the verb.
Okay.
Ish gadol. So let's do the big man. The big man.
We got the ha-gadol, right?
Yep.
Ha-ish gadol.
The big man is whatever. Ha'ish hagadol halach. All
He's
right.
one.
So let's do this is a man. So man is not definite. We're going to have a random man, and we're going to have this. This
Say,
is a man. So we've got ze.
Yeah.
This is a man.
Ish.
Aish.
Just
Ze.
ish.
Zeish. This is a man. Zeish. Is that kind of making sense? All right.
I think this is the best way I've ever seen it presented. I love this.
Well, you just haven't had very good teachers then. Just kidding. All right.
Yes, I have.
I even might getting something of this.
Yeah, hopefully. Because we graduated, we're not babies anymore. Now we're in kindergarten. And so that's what my brain started thinking. How could I make this a little bit more like kindergarten? We got to do like little colors and things like that. Hopefully, it made sense to me anyway. So
My
yeah.
kindergartner still mixes up the structure of a sentence, so I think we're okay.
Yep, exactly. We're totally fine.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this man. So this one is a very specific man, even though it's not the man here. We would still use ha in this case. So
Ha,
So it's Haze Ish.
ha, ish, ha, ze.
yep, just a little bit backwards. There we go.
Yeah.
Ish haze. So if in English we would say it like this man. In Hebrew, we're just going to put it just backwards. Ha-ish haze.
So is it is in this case like this man?
Mm-hmm. So this,
Well, with this structure is oh, I don't know. The noun, I guess, is that typically like that will be the first word in the order?
yep, exactly. The noun always comes first, and then the things come after it, the things that describe. And there's an order
right.
to it. So your adjectives always come next before your
Yeah.
demonstratives. Demonstratives always come last. But again, it wouldn't be
Now-
the worst thing in the
now
world.
I'm
That doesn't-
confused. I'm confused. How come it is Ha-ish and not just Ish Haze?
Uh-huh. Very good question. So if anything has an article over here, they all have
Yeah.
to have an article.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep, exactly. And so, yeah, anything on one side, if it has the article on there, they all do. Haish Haze. This,
Okay.
and because we're talking about a very specific one, we're talking about this one. So Haish
Yeah.
Haz, we're just talking
So
about,
I have to look at it as this man is.
uh-huh, yep, this man.
So if I was pointing at the man in a line and I was just saying like take, but not saying take, I'm just saying this one, this
Yeah.
man, this is how I would say it.
Yep,
I-
you would put
okay.
the I in front of it.
Okay.
Haish Haze, this man. Uh-huh. All right, so let's do, this is the big man. So we've got that implied is in there. This is,
Cameron, I'm sorry. One more question. So if I'm shopping in the market over there or something and I want this one,
uh-huh,
I would say it like this bag or this shawl or something. I would use the ha with both, right? I would
yeah.
say this
So
one. Yeah.
if we wanted this cup, I would say hakos hazo. Hakos hazo.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So this is the big man. So this is the big man. Let's get our
That's-
parts up here.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of constructing it in English. This is the big man. We've got Gadol. This is the big man, right? And so we know that Ish has a ha on it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to put Zay over here by itself. So what is wrong with what I've got here? This is the big man.
You need a Haggadah.
Hagadol. Because if one has it, they all have to have it. Hi. Ze, this is the big man. Ish Hagadol. So let's take almost the exact same thing, but instead of definiteness, we're going to make it more ambiguous. We're going to do a big man. This is a big man. What would we do to change this?
You take the H of each.
Yep. And so if we take it off of Ish, we have to take it off of Gadol as well. Ze, Ish Gadol. This is a big man. Ze, Ish Gadol. This is a big man. Ze,
It's a good start.
Ish Hagadol. This is the big man. Yep. All right. So let's construct this one. This man is big. This man is big. So we know that is going to separate this man, which we've already done up here. And then big comes after the verb. So if we know that goes here, is big.
Ze each.
Ish Haze Gadol.
Yep. Yeah. So this man, and this is a definite man. I mean, we're talking about a very specific one. So it has to have the ha. Ha'ish haze gadol. Ha'ish haze gadol. So if it has ha's, they're on this side. If they don't have ha's, over here, because they kind of act like magnets that repel one another. These
I
ones.
should those people learn how to talk. Because it's so backwards.
It is very backwards, isn't it? All right. And then this one, we're going to say, this big man, halach. This big man, halach. So,
I'll be on the same side.
And so normally, if we try to write it in English syntax, we would say this big man, but we have to go just reverse because the noun always has to come first with the adjectives and demonstratives after. Ha'ish hagadol hazeh, this big man, halach. All right. Hopefully it's becoming a little bit more clear. It's really tricky still to like not have this chart and go, all right, this is what I want to say, and blah, your brain just goes blank. So I think
Cameron,
this
I
is
have a question.
Mhm.
You said the noun comes first, and then the adjective, and then the demonstratives. I don't even know that word.
Demonstrative means these or those or that.
Okay.
If you wanted to Google demonstratives and look up all the different kinds there are. But for our purposes, what we've learned so far from lesson 1 through 20 is
Okay.
basically just ze, zot, and ele are the only demonstratives we've learned so far. Yeah, we kind of have to learn English before we learn Hebrew grammar, don't we? Oh, yeah.
I'm trying.
Oh, never. I was trying to think of like if you're talking about not talking about something, but like, well, yes. So if you're saying she is big,
Mm-hmm.
is that getting into just a whole different
No.
lesson?
Yeah, you
Like,
could look at that
or-
too. So a noun can be substituted for a pronoun.
But then, but you wouldn't, okay, and you wouldn't have ha in front of a pronoun though, right?
No, yeah, you definitely would. You would use it
Oh, you
just
would.
the same. But you could swap out a noun for a pronoun.
Okay.
So if we're talking about this what's a pronoun? I guess in English we wouldn't use the like she went to the
Yeah.
market. We're talking about a very specific she. And so if we were just talking about let's see, how would that I'm trying to translate it into some of the things that I've heard before.
Yeah,
I've
your
always
sister.
heard it with an article. Anytime we're using a pronoun, we're basically using a very specific person or thing in mind. And so I've always heard it with an article. But let me find some examples when you might not want that. But yeah, I think by default you would use an article in that. So let's
Well, how was she saying it? I'm trying to remember how she's talking in 21 when she was like saying you went or oh, that's when it was changing it the halach changed. Yeah, I can't even remember. I can't think of the words in English to the grammar words to, but yeah,
like
the
here, the woman.
alcha, the yeah, they all started the I guess that's the verb. The verb started changing, right? The
Mhm.
structure.
So like ani,
Yeah.
it's a pronoun. It can be. So like the I, me, we instead of using a name, but it doesn't use the ha. So let's see some of the other ones. Ata is a pronoun. So yeah, I take it back. We wouldn't use a ha in front of that.
Oh,
Put that verb on it.
But it changes the the verb
Has to match.
changes. Like in English, the verb doesn't change. I mean, we just have the tenses, but yeah, but in Hebrew, depending on first person, second person, third person, that's what changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In English, we have a little bit of change. So like I speak, you speak, but he speaks. He has that additional S on the end. So we only have a couple of different conjugations where it changes, but for the most part, we have the exact same one. Versus Hebrew, every single one changes depending on which first person, second person, singular, plural kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Okay, cool.
Language is so hard, I tell you.
Ah,
so when they were doing the leaving and going and stuff, it was halak for the woman, right? And
Alcha.
but they started putting a halak tea or something like that. I don't know. But they were saying adding a little thing on the end. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so we haven't totally got the full conjugation of it quite yet. We get a little bit introduced to it, but here's the chart. This is in the grammar book on page. No, this
Four.
is sorry. The lesson script for 21 has the little chart here. So ani, I walked would be halachti. Halachti.
And so
And
how come they're adding that?
because they've got to make it agree with the um
Oh, the thing
pronoun.
on.
yeah, the pronoun
Oh,
that it goes with.
oh,
So who halach, he halcha, but we've also got some changes that we need to make for all of the other kinds. So if it's in second person, because who and he are third person, we're talking about somebody. He and she walked. But if we're
yeah.
talking directly to somebody saying you walked, second person ata would be halakta. And at the feminine, hal ha. Unless you just my brain just halach.
Halach,
Yeah, because we got a double shava there.
Ha-
Halach.
ha-
Oh,
And
yeah.
then for first person with ani, halachti.
Uh-huh. Well, that makes
But I
sense.
think at is the most difficult one
Uh-huh. That
now.
yeah. Halacht. Halacht.
Because it has a java underneath it. So the last part is silent, just a T.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so that's why we're still getting the new nouns as we're going forward on 21, 22, 23, but we're actually doing the grammar back in 1, 2, and 3 so that a lot of this kind of stuff will start making more sense once we have a better foundation for grammar. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about all of the different tenses here. I mean, you can
Okay.
put them on flashcards and memorize them if you want to, but as far as how to conjugate, that's a much more advanced concept that we'll get in, 10 or so weeks.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Well,
as-
this
That's like second grade.
yeah. Gotta get out of kindergarten for.
Okay, sorry. I realized my question pushed us clear
But
to.
I mean, if you're understanding things, if you've learned a language before and this kind of makes sense to you, by all means, go ahead and do some of that. Make sure that you keep yourself motivated and not just bored, twiddling your thumbs with things. But don't feel bad if that part doesn't make sense yet, because in kindergarten, that shouldn't make sense.
I try to remember that like ani, and then you get halachti,
Mhm.
both end up on an E sound.
Yeah.
And then ata is halachta. So that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then at just the halacht. But then I get lost after the who and the he,
Mhm.
because then the ending doesn't go with what I was trying to teach myself.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, these ones get a little confusing, don't they?
But now that you said that's the tenses, I think back on the video that they did, and they were pointing so these different things. So it does start to make sense now.
Mm-hmm.
That was really crazy. And
So
then
go for it.
well, I have a question, but it's right at the very end. Go ahead with what you're doing, and
No,
then
go for it.
well, right at the end, it started doing hyphenated words things, and it had an L before it on one of
That's
them.
what Amy was asking last time, and I haven't got into that yet. But yeah, if we were to,
So is that L like we normally know L is?
no,
Okay.
it's just a part of speech.
Seems like they should
So
say
yeah,
El Yam or something. I
so
can't remember.
it does kind of like what Stacy was talking about last week. It means more like to the so like El Haharim, to the mountains. But yeah, I haven't got there myself. I don't know the full extent of when we would use El, but it's not referring to deity in
Okay.
our
That's
normal.
what was confusing me. And why are they hyphenating? What?
So anytime you see a hyphen, it's the same as English. We're putting two things together that
Uh-huh.
make sure that they're associated with each other. So El Haharim. So we're just making sure that we're tying that to directly to that mountain, or this one
Okay.
directly to that kind of thing.
All
So,
right.
yeah, I wouldn't worry about the hyphens, just knowing that they act very similar to English. But why do we have to hyphenate that? I don't know.
It just looks pretty.
Why wouldn't you hyphenate it?
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, so now that we've went through this kind of a thing here, now one thing that I would do for the homework is go through the lesson number 1 and start seeing if you can translate it back into English. When they say Maze Jesus, like what directly are they translating it back to? And with subsequent lessons, lesson 2, lesson 3, etc., because the sentences get more and more complex. And so not just hearing the noun and going, oh, I know what she's talking about, being able to actually translate it and go, oh, she's saying this is a big man, or this man, halach, kind of a thing. Being able to get that sentence structure. And if you ever come across one that you don't know what it is, come back to this kind of a thing, plot it out and go, oh, that's what she's saying, until it starts making more sense. Because I think that'll help build it up so that we can start speaking it more effectively. If we start noticing the patterns that she's using while she's talking and not just relying on the noun and going, oh yeah, she must be talking about a horse doing something. If that makes sense.
How did you get those words to move from the top and put them down there? Like,
Yeah, so I just used a copy and then I came down here and pasted. And then copy and paste.
oh,
And then if you ever want to just white it out, because if you just click on one and click the backspace, it'll leave the color. So I copy a blank one and paste a blank one.
uh-huh.
Kind of a thing. That's why I'm not like super fond of it, the Excel spreadsheet. But if you know how to use it, then it can come in really handy. But I don't have my flashcards with me that I made yesterday, but I made each of these on the same color of flashcards, and I would just do it on paper on a table. And so I made sure that
Mhm.
Herb was here, and I would piece it all together. It made it a lot easier for me, but then after class last night, I was like, Mom, how are we gonna do this online? And so I made this spreadsheet to make it a little bit easier, but it might not be super friendly for everyone. So if you can't get this to work, then just manual flashcards. Go back to the olden days.
Uh-huh. I
And
like this thing. It's kind of cool.
yeah. And then if
It's,
you
I can do
want
that, I think.
on the flashcards, so the Aleph with Beth grammar flashcards, then you can get practice if you kind of want to quiz yourself in a fast style. You'd be able to, let's see, let me go to, well, I'll just stick with this one. It'll kind of
Just
give you the man is big. And so if you're trying to quiz yourself quickly, the man is big. So we know that it's going to be separated. Ha'ish
managing.
gadol. Ha'ish gadol. And so that can really help. But I realized when I assigned this earlier that it was kind of like putting us in second or third grade before we had even had kindergarten. And so I think that this is a crucial step here to kind of get the kindergarten stuff before we actually just dive in and try to start memorizing direct translations.
So this thing that they're showing right now, you can do it and then you can see if it's wrong. They give the right answer.
Yep.
I
So
really like
I've
that.
created
That's
all
what
of
I need.
these flashcards, but they're kind of
Mhm.
tricky if you don't know the kind of principle behind them or can't visualize it really well. I mean, Amy's got them down, but
So where do I go to use this?
so those are on the flashcards of any given lesson. If you come in here to our lessons here, so like if I clicked on lesson 1, then oh, did I have those in a different spot? See, this is the problem. You have a teacher that has things
It's in there
scatterbrained.
somewhere, because I've seen it.
Yeah, maybe I called them flashcards at one point. I don't know, but here's what I'll do. Every single lesson, I'll put them inside the lesson that they go with. So when you click on lesson 2,
Okay.
the lesson 2 flashcards will be right there.
Okay. I like that. Thank you.
And then where is my other, well, I'll get that later. But each week I want us to get a certain set of words down without the vowels on them. But now that I'm trying to come up with it, where did I put that file? I thought it was in that same spreadsheet, but it's not. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
Cameron, part of your testing is, or review, you had us type the words in, so you would tell us a word and we were supposed to type it in Hebrew in.
Oh,
And yeah, so I really cannot do that yet.
mhm.
But I know the words. But I haven't like figured out how to sight read them, spell them so. Just so that you know, that's really not going to work for me yet, but I'm trying to figure it out. But it would be easier for me to do that without putting the vowels in than, yeah,
So
than
if you
than
come to
putting the
this
vowels in on it.
and click on test,
Yeah.
if you choose written, you got to make
Okay.
sure to click the written off, because yeah,
Oh, okay.
the ones where it has to have you type it in. So yeah, make sure to click that one off.
Oh, well, I just thought it was really good for me to force me to do it, but
Uh-huh.
I think it would be easier to do it without putting the vowels in. I mean, for me personally, because I learned with
Uh-huh.
that book, so for me, anyways, I just want you to know that part I tried and went, oh, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, yeah, that's good to point out. Because yeah, trying to type with vowels and everything is very tricky within Quizlet here. And so if you are so there's different ways that you can go about studying these. You can do flashcards, you can do test, match, etc. But if you are doing the test, what I would personally do is make sure to take the written part and unselect that. I usually do true and false and multiple choice. But if you wanted to do, if you wanted to toggle the written on, I wouldn't necessarily take the test like that, but I would test myself and write it down on a piece of paper as I'm going along. Because yeah, typing it out is kind of tricky. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because I keep forgetting to tell people on the Quizlet part that test is really tricky.
Yeah, but I absolutely love being able to do it. To be able to do your program is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
It's really well done, Cameron. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
You all are doing excellent at memorizing everything and keeping up with my scatterbrain.
Oh, it's awesome.
And all the time that you spend on it, to get this all ready and to go. I sometimes don't even have time to study, and you're doing all this stuff extra, and I don't understand.
Well, that's the good thing about doing it multiple times. When I say like, oh, hey, let's go back to lesson 1, it means I haven't got my other lessons planned yet.
Hey, don't tell us your secrets.
Yep. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
just keep me on my toes.
We once in a while need a break. We cannot get it all in besides, all the things that we need to do. And wait until you're older, then you don't know how you ever worked.
Yep. But at least I'll speak Hebrew by then, so.
At least it keeps our mind sharp.
Yeah.
Can you remind me where, can't remember, I thought it was in a book, but where the, sorry, like, I can't remember what form of Hebrew it is. It's not like the calligraphy kind, the simple script
Uh-huh.
letters, like, could you
The
remind me
blocks,
where I find the what? Is it block?
the block writing or the cursive writing.
Yeah, I think it's the block. Like that's the one it's been helpful to like as I'm like, yeah, I try to write out words and phrases, and it's helping me to remember how to spell things, but I also realized like, oh, I forgot how to write. Anyway, some of the words or letters I've kind of forgotten how to write in that simple block form.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you where it's at currently, but that's a good reminder. I'll put it on the classroom as well so that we can find it easier. But in the meantime, if you go back over to Learning Zion where we kind of started off doing Hebrew, and you click on that Hebrew study group, it will come up here and you're going to want to click on resources. So not any of the lessons, but just on the resources there. And I believe in the charts and worksheets, I have like, yeah, there's like the ballpoint ones. And then here's like the calligraphy kind of things. And you can see all of the different charts that I made back in our very first round. And so you can kind of see the ones that are often mistaken for each other. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. I don't know why I didn't even think to go there. That's,
been a long time since we've been on learning. So
anyways, that's really helpful. Yeah. Because like most things that we're seeing and reading are in the calligraphy, but then anyways, I just like to write in the, yeah, that simple ballpoint
yeah, exactly.
letters.
And this is another thing. I keep trying to get to these worksheets because I started making the worksheets, but I just never have finished them. And I just got to knock them out and get them done. But there'll be printable things that you can actually practice writing with and everything. I'm going to try to get those in the next couple of weeks.
All good.
So Cameron, you have I've like got so many different of your sites studying that when you said that, I was like, well, look, if you're not on Learning Zion, what are you on? You know, you send me those the printouts every week or the little things to be able to get on the site to study.
Uh-huh.
But do you have a different like site to study it off of?
No, so we migrated over to Google Classroom. So like here on the screen, anytime that I post a new thing on the Google Classroom,
Uh-huh.
send you an email, and then from that email you can just click on it.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to so people can drop in and drop out anytime that they want to, and I don't have to try to
Oh, I
keep track of
see.
the mailing lists and things. But it kind of keeps the classwork all in one place.
Oh, I
If you
just assumed all of that was on your Learning Zion site too, but I just wasn't finding it. So there we go.
Oh, yeah. But after we migrated from Learning Zion over to the classroom, because a lot of people were having troubles with the Learning Zion on a regular basis. And
Okay.
so we migrated over to Classroom and just tried to streamline it a little bit. So if you download the Google Classroom app and
Uh-huh.
sign in with your Gmail account, then you'll
Okay.
see all of these different things, and you can look up any of the given weeks in the past and go and watch
Oh, perfect.
previous sessions. I post all of the video links on there and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's wonderful. Yes,
Other
so
thing is
so helpful.
scatterbrains are all over the place.
So if we want to rewatch this, what we just did, you've got it on this. I don't have to go over to Learning Zion.
Correct. Yeah. So any of our Hebrew ones here. So if you come into the Google Classroom and click on classwork in any given week, oh, there's some flashcards. I'll put the date on it. So like,
You got flashcards right above it.
yeah, I've got
Flash-
those flashcards right there. For 6/17/24 session, if you click on that, then you can watch the recording of the class.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
that goes
I
for
like
any
it
of the
there.
weeks. Sometimes we repeated the weeks, and so you might see multiple sessions in a given week. But yeah, I put those, that's where all of the videos are going to be for Hebrew. But any of our book club will be on Learning Zion. If that makes sense. Yeah.
That's amazing. You got so
Split
much
my soul into
info
lots of
in
Horcruxes all the place. No,
one little
I have to go
place.
collect them all. All right. Any other questions? Can I confuse you anymore?
That's awesome.
But I think you're amazing.
Yeah.
Just truly amazing. That really helps me, by the way.
All right, well,
Yeah.
Never give up. Until we can talk to you in Hebrew.
yeah, that's what we're aiming for. But like we've learned a lot of nouns and adjectives, but we haven't learned a lot of verbs yet. And so we're getting there. We're getting really close to it. Where we'll be able to really converse and start doing a lot with it.
Nice.
I'm glad. I'm excited for it.
Well, thank you, Cameron.
And we'll see you next week.
Next time.
Good week,
Okay,
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.